Hello, my name is Joanna Mon, one of the career counselors from Career Services and Employer Relations. And today I would like to talk about how you might begin to understand our current job market. So I will be sharing tips on how you might handle your job search, also help you to identify some of your transferable skills and share resources to use to stay updated about who is hiring. Um, and also, we'll be discussing the industries and sectors that are hiring and the ones that are declining. And then I also found a resource on remote jobs and specific job titles. So we'll take a closer look at that. Um, so whenever we are dealing with a challenging job search, when it is um, when the economy is not doing well, I often will say to students and all job seekers that we do not have control over the economy, obviously. However, that doesn't mean that you can't try to gain a little bit more control in terms of what's going on in your local job market and find out a little bit more about who is hiring in the local job market. The other thing that you want to make sure you're doing before you start your search is to definitely have a really strong resume. Make sure that it represents your skills and is very clear in terms of what you could potentially do for another employer, and make sure that you have your cover letters critiqued so that you can tailor those cover letters for each job that you'll be applying for. And then, of course, LinkedIn. You have to make sure that you are impressing potential employers with the kinds of skills that you could bring to them, your marketable skills. And then always be networking, trying to find what we call the hidden job market. Many times, students may have the opportunity to speak with someone that they know, friends, family, professors, um, just contacts that they have, alums, um, even classmates that have already accepted a job someplace else, but they keep hearing about other opportunities. So just keeping in touch with people so that you might be hearing about a job even before it's posted when it becomes much more competitive. And then just know how to be prepared for your typical interview questions. And then don't forget, certainly, the thank you notes, for every person that you speak with every time you are out, for an interview. Um, the other thing you have control over is just getting organized in terms of your job search because it is like a full-time job. So you need to make sure that you get a system in place, whatever works well for you. And you probably will be working out of your home. So if you can set up a space where there aren't as many distractions and just be ready for the Zoom meetings and Google meetings, because many times your job interviews will be virtual until we are all able to walk into different companies for these job interviews. So this is very important too. You need to understand your marketable skills so that if you need to go into a different type of industry, let's say you've had an internship or you had some um, part-time employment in a particular area, and you're going to have to be flexible now because sometimes maybe the industry you were especially interested in, say for example hospitality, right now is is really being hit. So maybe you can go into another type of industry that requires very strong customer service skills and computer skills, things like that. So all these things are important. Don't take for granted the skills that you do have. Be able to talk about who you are, certainly in your infomercial, when you introduce yourself or your elevator pitch, getting familiar with that will be important. And understanding the transferable skills. Have confidence in yourself. Realize that you have gained some excellent skills. And I'm actually going to advance to the next slide. But if you want to find out a little bit more about transferable skills, you can even go to Indeed/career advice, and you can inquire about resumes and cover letters and transferable skills. But when I talk about transferable skills, let's talk about some of these skills. So these are some of the top 10 skills that employers would expect from new hires. Um, and sometimes people will say, well, are transferable skills just soft skills? Are transferable skills hard skills? So when I refer to the soft skills, we're talking about communication skills, problem solving skills, research skills, things like that. Hard skills might be, I know Excel, I know PowerPoint, I know how to run a Zoom meeting, I speak another language. Um, that might be, a little different, but the soft skills are extremely important. And I think since we have to be flexible with this job market, you want to be able to take both your soft skills and your hard skills to different industries. Okay. Um, so speaking of different industries, this slide has information that I was able to gather from Indeed. And what they basically did is they were comparing the gap in terms of the job postings from 2019, so May of 2019 versus May 2020. And what they've noticed as they did surveys and gathered information, they noticed that some of these areas, so logistics support, pharmacy, retail, personal care, and home health, these have not declined as much as if we go down to the bottom here, larger than average declines, beauty and wellness. For instance, many of our barber shops and salons are just beginning to open up this week, the last week of May. So they've lost 2 months of work. And then hospitality and tourism, that has been hit hard. So just being aware of what's been happening. And the example I give with logistics support, think about when we were learning so much more about COVID-19 and how there was a concern for personal protective equipment. And so many of the local governments had to figure out how are they going to get these supplies to our hospitals, to our medical personnel. So pe people in logistics had to start to figure out how everything was going to be moved and keeping track of because there was such a big demand. Um, and that can apply to a lot of other different types of companies too. Um, so that's what this slide is basically discussing. Um, and then through LinkedIn can do all different types of surveys. So what after I advance this slide, you'll see what the confidence level was by industry. But basically what I've summarized here is that public administration, manufacturing, finance, and software information technology, those leaders are feeling fairly confident right now. And then if we go down to the middle group, industries such as transportation, real estate, consumer goods, and then of course, in terms of the lowest level of confidence, travel, design, entertainment, media, communications. All right. So this next slide, this breaks it down in terms of more details. But what you're going to do is you're going to take a closer look at this in terms of all the different types of companies that did respond to the LinkedIn survey. And you'll notice that, if we look at some of the, if green is hiring, if we look at IT, um, financial services is fairly high, business software. Another one is educational software. And part of that is because look at what has happened in terms of higher ed, where in the middle of March, we suddenly had to shift to virtual um, learning, virtual services, and that happened certainly in um, elementary K through 12. So a lot of changes were happening there too. Um, so this is something that you can definitely watch and see um, if you take a closer look at if you are on LinkedIn, you can follow different companies and industries and watch what's going on. So this is a continuation of what we were just discussing in terms of what where people feel more confident. So this should give you an idea of maybe who you're going to target in terms of what kinds of agencies. So if you are, say, a public health major or an economics major, um, and you want to understand what's going on with public administration, if you're on LinkedIn, you could actually look for people working in public administration, and then LinkedIn would sort for you. You could find out what kinds of agencies they're working for and begin to keep a list of agencies that you might want to contact, once you are ready to begin a job search. Um, and then also keep in mind that maybe you are not a computer science major, but all companies need customer service contacts. So keep that in mind. Maybe if you can target organizations, again, that are close to where you're job searching and where you're focusing, um, you could learn a little bit more about particular companies and find out what their structure might be, by using LinkedIn. Also, don't hesitate to ask our research librarians for information in terms of how to research different types of companies. Um, Taking a proactive role with this type of job market, instead of waiting for a job to be posted, see if you find a company that is expanding and hiring and just see if you have a contact there, or just contact them directly, showing an interest in them. Now, this was another interesting site that I came across. So I do believe, in terms of what's happening with the job market right now, a lot of jobs are going to be remote. Um, so what this is through Flex Jobs. Um, what they basically have done is they broke down in various categories. So customer service, medical and health, computer and IT, education, training, even therapy, and counseling. And it you never would have thought that somebody would be able to speak with a therapist and it wouldn't be face to face. But because of situations beyond our control, now they're finding that there are more telehealth, even for the medical field. Doctors will use Zoom or something similar to basically screen their patient. And then if we look at the next slide, so this is also from FlexJobs, this gives you an idea of some of the different job titles. So, depending on your major, you might take a look, even just to find out what these job titles are, what types of skills they look for when you look at some of these job descriptions, and just learn a little bit more about what's going on. So if you do want to take a look at some of these links, this will give you some more information about companies that are hiring remote workers. Okay, um, so definitely that you can continue to access our office virtually. Um, And there are many, many different types of resources right on our website that are going to be keeping you up to date, with what's going on. And if you do need guidance from career services about making sure your resume is critiqued, cover letters critiqued, we can do those things. If you feel like you need to brush up and understand a little bit more about yourself so that you can talk about your transferable skills. If you have not done Focus 2 or you haven't used knack through our website, you definitely can take a look at this and use, really complete this self-assessment so you have a better understanding of who you are. Uh, and then obviously we want you to be well prepared when you go for an interview, since it is very competitive. So we can help you with a mock interview, and we can do that through Zoom. Um, so these are other sites. If you need to understand more about interviewing in general, Career Spots Videos has videos on all different job search topics. And then if you need to understand more about industries, the Vault is a great resource. And don't forget our research librarians. They are there to help you to understand the job market with up-to-date information. So from our website, these are some great links, and you can find out about, who's hiring, where the freezes are, and this type of information is updated on a regular basis. So take a look at some of these, and then don't forget about Handshake. We are continuing to have employers contacting us, posting jobs um, on, on Handshake. And then these are some further resources if you wanted to find out about, um, you know, what, what types of jobs are being posted on Handshake in general, and maybe what type of government jobs are opening up. So definitely take a look at Handshake in terms of some of the resources. These are some sites that you could take a closer look at, additional job search sites, and these are very specific to, I tried to find some specifically related to, say, Framingham area. Um, and you can, once we pull this up, you can say, I'm looking for an internship, or I'm looking for entry level job. You could say, I'm looking for a small, medium size, or large company. Um, and then you could take a look, and you could put in specifically your zip code or your town. So that's another resource to keep in mind. Um, and then here are some other links if you want more information about, going back to Indeed for further information. These are some other sites, even at Forbes.com. So there's a lot of different articles and resources. One of my favorites is Career Sherpa, and this is a career counselor, human resource professional, and she talks about different types of strategies for today's job search. Some of them, I certainly touched upon as we've gone through this presentation. So definitely take a look at some of these sites. Um, and if you do have any questions, you can get in touch with us. Um, this is my email, but to contact Career Services, right at framingham.edu. And if there's other presentations that you want to view on how to write a LinkedIn, um, how to create an impressive LinkedIn profile, how to network, many other topics, you can go to our, again, to our website and look for our virtual presentations with this link. Thank you.